Okay, so today we're doing one-step equations, and one-step equations look at something as simple as what you see here. So you're only going to solve for whatever variable it's asking for. Now, before we go and start to solve these problems, there are a few rules that you need to know. You need, number one, that ultimately what you're doing is you're solving for a variable. Or you're solving for a letter. Okay? The second thing that you must know is whatever you do on one side, you have to do out to the other. Now you're asking, how do I do this? What is she talking about? So let's look, for example, at the one that we're going to eventually solve is z minus 5 equals 9. So you're asking, how do I solve for a letter? What is she talking about? Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Well, what I mean is that we're talking about opposites, all right? So if you're adding or you have addition on one side, that means ultimately you're going to subtract.
I didn't understand.
And if you are subtracting, the opposite of subtracting is addition. If you're multiplying, the opposite is division. And if you're dividing, the opposite is going to be multiplying. Now we've kind of ran all over the place, so let's go ahead and kind of look at this together. So we're going to go back to our z minus 5 equals 9. So we want to get z by itself. So how are we going to get minus 5 to the other side? Well, if we look back up here, subtraction, the opposite is going to be addition. All right? So we're going to add 5 over here, because if you go in your calculator and do minus 5 plus 5, it's going to cancel it out or give you a 0. Now, because I added 5 over here, this is kind of like a balancing act. So I'm going to add 5 over here. So 9 plus 5 gives you 14. So z equals 14. So this should be your end result. What you can do to double check it is wherever z is, you're going to put whatever it equals. So in this case, 14 minus 5 equals 9. So you did do this one correctly. So if we go back and we look over here, and let's see here, we have s minus 3 equals negative 10. So we want to get s by its side. So if we see minus 3, we know that we need to add 3, which would cancel this out, which means then over on this side, since I added 3 on this side, I have to add 3 over here. So negative 7 plus 3, and if you put this inside your calculator, you're going to come up with negative 7. So s equals negative 7. Now, if you were to put this inside your calculator, if you put negative 7 minus 3, you get negative 10. So what I'm doing is I'm putting negative 7 over here. So negative 7 minus 3 gives you negative 10. So you did this one correctly. Now let's go look at something that has addition into it. So it really doesn't matter how you have this set up. So 7 equals y plus 15. So if you were to rewrite it, it would be the same as y plus 15 equals 7. But since this is written a little bit differently than what you normally see, I'm going to focus on this guy right here. So the opposite of positive is negative or minus, right? So to get rid of this 15 and get y by itself, I'm going to minus 15. So positive 15 and negative 15 or minus 15 crosses out and gives you 0, which leaves you your y. Now if I minus 15 on one side, I have to minus 15 on the other side. So over here, 7 minus 15 gives you negative 8. So negative 8 equals y. If this is correct, then negative 8 plus 15 is going to equal 7. So as you can see, all I did was put my negative 8 right here where my y is. We're going to double check our work and do negative 8 plus 15 equals 7. Now let's go ahead and move on to something maybe a little bit more challenging. So if I have 4a equals 16, this guy right here tells me I'm going to multiply. Okay, that one's going to tell me it's multiply. Because remember, if you were to see something like 4 times a, that would give you 4a. If you were to see the dot, that still means that you're multiplying. Or if you were to see it side by side, that means that you're still multiplying. So the opposite, we talked about this before, the opposite of multiplication equals division. So if I have 4a and we know that we're going to divide, which is the opposite, I'm going to divide by 4, which crosses this out. And if you were to put this in the calculator, you would have 4 divided by 4, which would give you 1. So 1a is my secret one, which means that it can come and go as much as you want. Because you divide it to one side, you need to divide to the other side. 16 divided by 4 gives you 4. So a equals 4. Now, if you want to go back and double check your work, you can do 4 times 4, and because that equals 16, I know that I did it correctly. We'll do one more for multiplication. So I have negative 12k equals negative 144. To get k by itself, we know that this is multiplication once again. So we're going to divide this by negative 12. This tells you it's negative, so I'm going to divide each side. And if I do one side by negative 12, so if I were to go over here and put negative 144 divided by negative 12, it tells me my answer is going to be 12. So k equals 12. If I wanted to go back and double check my work, over here, and we have our negative 12 times our positive 12, which is what we have right here. Negative 12 times 12 is going to give you negative 144. So I did do this correct. A lot of confusion comes along when you see the division. So I have u over 13 equals -5. The reverse of division is multiplication. And when you do division, for you to go from division into multiplication, you have to reverse this or flip it. So my denominator is now going to become my numerator. If you cross this out, it leaves you just one u left over. Since you multiplied on one side, you are going to multiply on the other. -5 times 3 equals -15. Now, if you want to double check your work, you're going to take the -15 divided by 3, which is going to give you -5. If you're going in here, -15 divided by 3 gives you -5. And we'll just do one more just to make sure we understand everything. So we have 11 equals t6. I want to get t by itself, and since this is division, I'm going to go over here and multiply it by a regular 6. So if you were to rewrite this, and this is another way to look at it, is 6t divided by 6. You're going to cross this out, and you're going to multiply 6 over here. So 11 times 6 is going to give you t. So 66 equals t. To double check your work, to make sure you did it correctly, if this was a true statement, you're going to input 66 over here for t. So 11 equals 66 divided by 6. If you were to go back here and put 66 divided by 6, it will give you 11. So this is correct. And this right here is one-step equations.